many people are afraid that having a convention is dangerous. So I'd like you to, someone on the panel, to address that, so we can kind of sort of put that thing to bed.
You know, I thought the same thing 5 years ago. And I thought the same thing as a result of statements that were made mostly by liberal groups and liberal individuals during the 1960s and 70s as a way of defeating an amendment to overrule some Supreme Court decisions and also to prevent a balanced budget amendment. And as I got into it, I discovered that, in fact, this is not really a new procedure, that we have had something like 35 different conventions of the states, none of which, as pointed out, ran away. There are charges, there have been charges or claims that the Constitutional Convention ran away, and for reasons that you can read either on the Independence Institute website or on the Convention of States website, that is simply not true. The Founding Fathers did not, in fact, violate their honor or their commissions. So we have very good history. We've also got, and you can criticize the courts for a lot of things, but one thing you cannot take them to task for is the way that they have dealt with Article 5 decisions. They have generally enforced Article 5 in a good way. They have taken the position, and the Supreme Court has taken this position, that the history behind the conventions, the history behind the amendment process, is good constitutional law that governs us today. There are something like 6 different backups for protection against a convention doing the wrong thing. They include the fact that convention delegates or commissioners are selected by the state legislatures. They are instructed by the state legislatures. They can be recalled and removed if they violate their instructions. They are bound by the scope of the application. They are bound by the scope of the call. If for some reason there was some sort of mass insanity and they all decided to violate their solemn oath and solemn instructions and the call, then anything they came up with would not be a ratifiable proposal. It could be tied up in the courts from the time the from the time the Article 5 convention adjourned until the crack of doom. I want you to compare that with the restraints we have on a runaway Congress. Our founders pledged everything to give us our freedom. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and the sacred honor. They knew that if they lost the American Revolution, if they lost that cause for freedom, the best thing that would happen to them is that they'd be hanged. They might more likely be drawn and quartered. A very gruesome punishment I'll spare you the details of. They took that kind of risk. If they did that for us, we, for crying out loud, can hold a simple convention.
Ken, hey Ken, Rob, I want to add something to that, and I want to add the blunt political reality. Everything you said is obviously true, and it's really important. And in the end, if it all goes wrong, then whatever comes out of that convention, ratifiable or not, has to be ratified, right?
Which requires 38 state legislatures to do so.
Now, I hear a lot of people say, well, you know, things are crazy out there. The media is crazy. The left is powerful and organized. Lots of stuff that they're scared of, right? But I want you to just do the basic math. That means, more importantly, that 13 states can stop anything simply by not acting. They don't have to do anything. And not just 13 states. One house in each of 13 states can stop anything, right? One house in each of 13 states. Now, if you review the statistics about the conservative advantage in the 13 most conservative states in the United States of America, what you find is the self-identified conservative advantage ranges from 38% to 26.5% conservative advantage in those states. And by the way, That does not include Texas, South Carolina, and Kansas, not exactly bastions of liberalism, right? Can we stop anything in one house in 13 states? I would say to you, if we really genuinely believe, if you're sitting there in the audience and you genuinely believe that we cannot, I would suggest that you give up. I would suggest that you go home and that you cocoon with your family and you pray to the Lord for mercy in the dark days to come, because it's over. We've lost our country, and we have not lost our country. This is a fight that we can and we will win.